Okay, so this video is for objective 24. So you're going to be in your money textbook here, and we're going to go all the way, I think, to page 38 is objective 24. So we keep going through. Actually, it might be, yeah, keep going here. Yeah, bottom of page 38. Okay, so let me cut that part out. Starts with number 87. There's just one problem on this page, and then we'll move on to the next page. Again, I believe this one is also 6 problems, like many of them have been. This is calculate a cost associated with a car. So again, the math that we're going to use isn't really difficult. It's just understanding what to do. Okay, so first problem, Andre is considered buying a used car that gets 33 miles per gallon of gasoline. He estimates that he will drive the car about 485 miles each month. If gasoline costs $2.95 per gallon, about how much will he spend on gasoline each month? So what we need to find is it tells us miles per gallon, tells us how many miles he'll drive. We need to find out actually how many gallons he will use, so then we can multiply that by the price. I kind of gave just a little formula here, but I guess I really didn't explain it that well. I said to figure out the gallons, you would take miles divided by miles per gallon, okay, which I do right here, and it gives you 14.7 gallons. I think maybe a easier way to explain that is, remember, miles per gallon, okay, that's a ratio. Miles per gallon means miles over gallon, so that means they would get 33 miles, okay, it's kind of hard to write with this, with 1 gallon of gas. And we want to use or figure out how many gallons they would use, or he would use, if he went 485 miles. So that we did this earlier this year on setting up a proportion, okay? And so that would be our setup, okay? That maybe makes more sense than me just giving you this. And now we would do the cross multiply and divide. So we would take the diagonal with 2 numbers, so 1 times 485 divided by the other number, which ends up giving you what I wrote down over here. But this maybe makes more sense of how to set that up. Okay, so that gives us, it's going to be a longer decimal, but rounded, about 14.7 gallons. Okay, so now when you know that's how many gallons he's going to use, it costs $2.95 per gallon. Okay, times the 14.7 gallons, this is what we would get. And now with the choices and them saying about how much, that is closest to the $43. Okay, so again, when you're doing these problems, if you need to pause the video and take a look, or rewind it, whatever you need to do to understand what we did there. Okay, so now back in that money textbook, we're going to turn the page. Okay, I'll see how many I can get in the picture here. So we're on page 39. We're going to do all the problems on this page. So let me cut this out. We'll cut out 88 and 89 first of all here, I think. All right. So 88. We look here, number 88. Mrs. Johnson bought a new car 14 years ago. Since she bought the car, she has driven an average of 15,000 miles each year. If she had an oil change every 7,500 miles at a cost of $40.99 each oil change, how much should she spend on the oil changes for the car? Okay, so some of these just look like they're going to be long problems, and things, but we just need to figure out how much she spent in oil changes. Okay, so there is actually a couple ways of doing this. Okay, let's look at the way I did, and I'll maybe just explain a different way. So what I did is she drives 15,000 miles per year, and she's done that for 14 years. So that equals 210,000 miles. Okay, now she gets an oil change every 7,500 miles. So we got to split all those miles up into groups that are 7,500. So we divide. Okay, so we take the 210,000 divided by 7,500, and that gives us 28 oil changes. Okay, each one of those cost $40.99. We take 28 times $40.99, and we get this $1,147.72. The other way you could have done this is because she drives 15,000 miles a year and she gets an oil change every 7,500 miles, if you take 15,000 divided by 7,500, that's 2 oil changes a year. Then after 14 years, that would be 28 oil changes, which is the same as what we got right here. So there's 2 ways of doing that one. Okay. All right, let's look at number 89. Looks like there's a lot of information here, so let's take a look. Okay. It says they drove her car 110,000 miles. She followed the maintenance schedule listed below. That maintenance schedule is just their recommendations on when you should change things and fix things. So she followed the maintenance schedule listed below to replace the fluids in her car. For example, every 30,000 miles, she had the power steering fluid replaced. Okay, even if you don't even know what that is, it tells you that after 30,000 miles, you should replace that. It says, how much did she spend in all replacing the 3 fluids in her car? Okay, so what we need to do is split up, I'm just kind of reading right here, split up the 110,000 miles into the interval parts to see how many times she has to replace each of these. Okay, so power steering fluid, she has 110,000, every 30,000 to replace it. Okay, so it comes out to be 3.66. Now, it hasn't got to the 4th time yet, so she hasn't had to pay for a 4th change yet. So we actually, a lot of times you round up to the number. This time we go back because she's only done it 3 times. Okay, 3 times at $35 each, so she spent $105 on changing the power steering fluid. Now we would repeat that process with the antifreeze. We take 110,000, okay, and divide it by 45,000 to see how much or how many times she had to change the antifreeze. It comes out to be 2.4 repeating. Okay, so not yet 3. So she's only had to change it 2 times. Okay, that's $90 a time. So that's $180. Okay. The transmission fluid happens every 25,000 miles. Okay. So 110,000 divided by 25,000 comes out to be 4.4 times. Okay. So again, it has not been 5 times yet, so she has replaced it 4 times. It costs $200 each time. That's $800. Okay, so now we add up all the costs. So you have the $105 from power steering. We have $180 from the antifreeze and $800 from the transmission fluid. Okay, that all adds up to be $1,085. Okay. Now I've done this problem a couple times. I think there's a misprint somewhere. Okay, because that choice is not given. So if I had to answer this problem, this is the closest one. If someone notices a mistake in here, let me know. But this seems to be the correct answer over here. Maybe when we do the practice, we'll see if there's something else that comes up, and we'll see if we can, if there is a mistake, we'll figure it out. But for sure, you can eliminate these. These are just way, way, way too low. Okay. If someone sees a mistake there, let me know. But I think everything was done correctly, and that there could be a mistake in the writing sometimes. So, you know, like if this was supposed to be 100,000 instead of 110, that would make a big difference in the problem. But anyways, that's the process that you would go for that one, breaking it down into 3 separate problems. Okay, so let's go to the next problem. Let's scroll down here. Got 2 more on this page. Okay, let me cut that out. Okay, so we're looking at number 90. It says, several years ago, Mr. Akana purchased a new car. There are 72,898,000 miles on it, on the odometer. It says, if he followed the maintenance schedule in the table, how much money would he have spent on these maintenance items? Okay. So this is very, very similar to the last problem, except it's not dealing with maintenance fluids, it's other parts in your car. Okay. So again, we take the miles that he has, divide it by when they recommend changing it. So spark plugs, they say every 40,000 miles. So we divide his miles by 40, 1.8. So far, it's close to getting replaced again, but he hasn't had to do it a second time yet. So he's only had to replace those once so far. And so since he's only had to do it one time, times 141 is $141. Brake pads, every 60,000. So we divide what he has, 72,898 divided by 60 is 1.2. So he's only had to pay for that once. That's $349.75. Fuel filters is every 30,000. So we divide, it comes to be 2.4. So he's had to do it 2 times. Not yet 3, so he's had to do it 2 times. 2 times, so this is the one that's a big difference. 2 times at $83.75, you multiply that, and that has so far has cost him $167.50. Radiator hoses, you divide by 60,000, comes to be 1.2. Okay, so he's only done it once, so that's 184. Now you take these numbers, that's what he spent on all of them, and you add them together, and you get $842.75. Okay. And again, I've made a little note here. We round the number of times down because you can't replace a partial amount of times. You can't replace something 1.8 times. So it's not yet 2 times, so you've only replaced that once. And with the spark plugs as an example. Okay. Number 91 it says, based on the information in the table, what is the average yearly amount Mrs. Tan spends registering and insuring her car each year? So this is one of those expenses that sometimes you just don't think of when you own a car. Sometimes you're only thinking about buying the car and how much it costs. But this is stuff you have to pay for. So it says, how much would she have to pay for each year? Okay, so registration, it says every 2 years she has to pay $129. So if it's $129 for 2 years, we take that cost divided by 2 to figure out how much is in 1 year. So you get 6450 for 1 year, because if you take 6450 times 2, that gives you the 129. Insurance. Okay, make sure you pay attention here. It doesn't say every 6 years, so we're not doing the same thing. We're not going to divide by 6. It's $430 for every 6 months. Okay, so $430 for every 6 months. So I took 430 times 2. So I really didn't write down why I did times 2, but the reason I did times 2 is because this is for 6 months. A year is 12 months. Okay. And so 6 months we have to pay that once, then we have to pay it again for another 6 months to get to that 12 months for a year. So that's why we take it times 2. So that's $860 a year. So that's, insurance does cost a lot of money. So now registration is that much for a year, insurance this much for a year. We add the 2 together, we get the $924.50. Okay. All right, I think we got one more problem here. So we're going to turn to page 40. We got number 92. Let me cut that out. All right. So last problem of objective 24. It says Mrs. Frankel drove her minivan 13,870 miles last year. If she downsizes to a small sedan, okay, so it's just a smaller car, and drives the same distance this year, how much can she expect to save in operating costs? Okay, so the first thing to understand is we're comparing the minivan and the small sedan. So you can see I crossed this middle section out. We do not need to worry about any of those numbers. Okay. The other thing that I did in these numbers is they use, like for the gas, they use 8.32 cents. They use the cent symbol instead of the dollar symbol. And so I wrote that out down here, that to keep things in dollars, okay, I'm changing all of these cents to this. If we look here, okay, the cent symbol, I guess an easy example would be if you had 5 cents. We know 5 cents when we use dollars is 0.05. That's what 5 cents is. So really, to get from a cent symbol to a dollar symbol, you move it. It's kind of like percentages. You move it twice. So here, to do this, I move this twice. 1, 2. And that's 0.0832 cents per mile it costs to drive a small sedan. Okay. So what I did, okay, is broke down the prices for each vehicle. So if you look in the minivan, I took this column, 12.13 cents is $0.1213. 4.98 cents is $0.0498. Okay. The tires, 0.89 cents, so this is a really small number. You move this twice, just like they did in the other ones, 0.08 or $0.0089. Okay. So I add those three things up, it gives me 0.18 or 18 cents per mile. She drives this many miles. We take 13,870 times 18 cents. So her maintenance on those three items for her minivan is going to be $2,496.60 for that year. Okay, so now we do the same thing with the small sedan. Okay, the gas, 8.32 would be $0.0832. Maintenance, 4.29 cents. Move that over twice, $0.0429. And then for tires, 0.61 cents. You move that over twice, 0.0061. We add those three up, we get 0.1322, so just over 13 cents a mile, times it by the number of miles that she drove in the year. Okay, gives you $1,833 and about 61 cents. Okay, so we round that. And now the question was, how much does she save? Okay, so if we take the one price minus the other price, that's how much she's going to save. Because how much more is one than the other? So it's $662.99. Okay, so that's objective 24. Some kind of different things in there. Might be some words or items you don't fully understand or know. So, a lot of people just drive their cars without knowing, or they just bring it in and tell people fix it. But sometimes this really helps understanding how often you need to do things, or how much is it actually going to cost you to have a certain type of car. Okay, so after you've watched this video, you go into the workbook, find where objective 24 starts. The next test will cover 24 and 25. So again, there's a few pages here of examples for objective 24. The answers are here. Go through them, see if you have questions. Try to match up the problem in the workbook with the problem in the textbook. Some people have been doing a good job at sending me questions. Then when you are done with practicing number 24, then I will have a video out soon for objective 25, and then you will move on to that one. All right, again, let me know if you have questions.